Hello everyone, welcome back to my science diary. Today we will explore an amazing story about how scientists worked together over centuries to solve one of the Earth's biggest mystery. We will learn about the greenhouse effect and discover how creative thinking helps the scientists make important discoveries. We will see how scientists ask questions, think creatively, and do experiments and collect the data and finally reach the conclusion. So, let's get started. By the end of this lesson, we will understand how carbon dioxide is linked to the global warming and how scientists, both in the past and today, study the Earth climate using the evidence. What makes a great scientist? It's not just memorizing fact, it's creative thinking. Creative thinking in science means asking what if and coming up with the new ideas to answer questions. Scientists don't just follow the recipes. They look at the existing data in brand new ways, make prediction based on evidence they collect, design clever experiment to test their ideas. Think of it like this: a scientist sees a puzzle and asks, what if I put these pieces together in a different way? That's the creative thinking. Here's the question that started everything. Humans burn fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas for energy. This releases carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. But here's what early scientists wondered 200 years ago: if we trap heat in the atmosphere with carbon dioxide, what would happen to the earth temperature? This simple question led to one of the most important discovery in the science. Let's see how three brilliant scientists answer it. In the 1820s, a French scientist named Joseph Fourier had a creative idea. He asked, what if the atmosphere works like a greenhouse? A greenhouse, as you know, is a glass building that traps heat. Fourier thought maybe Earth atmosphere does the same thing with heat. He come up with the brilliant explanation: the atmosphere must trap heat, preventing it from escaping into the space. This idea was revolutionary and he called it the greenhouse effect. But it was just an idea, he needed evidences. Sunlight enters the earth and warms it, and some heat tries to escape back into the space. But the atmosphere traps part of this heat, and that is why the earth is surprisingly warm. About 40 years later, in the 1860s, an Irish scientist named John Tyndall decided to test Fourier's idea. Tyndall was very clever. He built special laboratory equipment and conducted the experiments. He measured how different gases like carbon dioxide and methane absorb heat energy. And guess what he discovered? Carbon dioxide does trap heat. This was huge. Tyndall's experiment proved that the Fourier creative idea was actually correct. Carbon dioxide is like an invisible blanket that keeps heat trapped around the earth. His measurements provided the evidence scientists needed. Now we come to the 1890s. A Swedish scientist named Svante Arrhenius. He looked at all the evidence from Tyndall and thought, what if we double the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere? Using creative thinking and mathematics, Arrhenius made a bold prediction. If we double the carbon dioxide, the earth temperature would increase by about 5 degrees Celsius. Even more amazing, he predicted that the human burning fossil fuels could actually double the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Arrhenius was making a prediction based on evidence. He was not just guessing, he was using the scientific method creatively. Let's zoom out for a moment and see the big picture. Three scientists worked at different times, each contributed to our understanding. Joseph Fourier in 1820s had the creative idea the atmosphere might trap heat. John Tyndall in 1860s collected the evidence carbon dioxide traps the heat. Svante Arrhenius in 1890s made the prediction doubling carbon dioxide would warm the earth by 5 degrees Celsius. Each one built on the work of others. This is how scientists works. Ideas, evidence, predictions build knowledge step by step. Arrhenius also warned that the human could double carbon dioxide levels by burning fossil fuels. This would make Earth much warmer. Let me explain exactly how the greenhouse effect works so you understand the science clearly. Sunlight enters the Earth's atmosphere and reaches the surface. This warms the planet. Earth releases this heat back toward the space. But here's the key: carbon dioxide and other gases in the atmosphere trap this heat energy. And instead of heat escaping to the space, it gets trapped. The atmosphere becomes a blanket that keeps the heat in. The earth's temperature increases, and this is the greenhouse effect. And when the human increases the carbon dioxide by burning fossil fuels, the effect becomes stronger. An observatory director explained that the carbon dioxide is very small part of the atmosphere, but even small changes can have a big effect, so scientists must measure it very accurately. By the 1950s, many scientists worked for the governments, and they used new measuring instrument and collected data from all over the world to understand the atmosphere better. Scientists already knew that the Earth's temperature was rising, but they wanted to know, was carbon dioxide really the cause of global warming? Scientists set up the observatories, a special station on the mountain and in remote location like Hawaii to measure the carbon dioxide levels in clean air. This helped them to collect the accurate data. Scientists found a correlation: as carbon dioxide increased, the temperature also increased. But the correlation alone does not prove that one causes the other. To understand the past, the scientists studied tree rings and ice cores. These natural records shows how temperature and the carbon dioxide changed over time. Tree rings are thicker during the cool and wet years. By studying them, the scientists can learn about the past climate conditions. Ice cores contains tiny bubbles of trapped air. Scientists measure the carbon dioxide from these bubbles, and these deepest ice layers are the oldest. So, what did scientists find? Scientists found that the carbon dioxide and temperature changed together in the past. Today, both are rising faster than ever before. Scientists check each other results and argue about the conclusions. Some believe natural events like changes in the Earth's orbit are more important than the carbon dioxide. So, is carbon dioxide to blame? The government need answers. They set up the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change (IPCC), led by the Indian scientist Rajendra Pachauri. The IPCC studies evidence from the thousands of scientists from all over the world. In 2007, they concluded that the global warming is definitely happening. It will cause the serious disasters, more storm, drought, and heat waves. The carbon dioxide from human activity is very likely the cause. The IPCC report pushed the government to act on climate change. But will their action be effective? Only time will tell. Global warming confirmation. This is the exciting part. Remember the Arrhenius prediction from the 1890s. Arrhenius said if carbon dioxide increases, the earth will warm up. The scientist in the 1950s confirmed yes, the data shows the earth is warming and the carbon dioxide levels are increasing. Arrhenius' prediction made 100 years earlier was coming true. This shows the power of creative scientific thinking. Now, let's summarize the process of how scientists use creative thinking to solve the problem. In step 1, ask questions. The scientist wondered about the things: what if carbon dioxide traps the heat? Like Joseph Fourier asked, what keeps the earth warm? In step 2, observe and measure. They design experiments and collect the data carefully. Tyndall built the equipment to measure the heat absorption. In step 3, make prediction. Using their observations, they predict what will happen. Arrhenius predicted a 5 degrees Celsius temperature increase. In step 4, verify with data. Scientists collect more evidence from the real world and they measure carbon dioxide level worldwide. In step 5, refine understanding. As new evidence comes in, the scientists improve their explanations. They never stop learning. This is the scientific method and it's powered by the creative thinking. You might be wondering, why do we need to learn this history? Why does it matter today? Because scientists' creative thinking from 200 years ago help us understand climate change and global warming, how our planet is changing, how human activities like burning fossil fuels affect the earth, and what we need to do to protect our planet for the future generations. When you understand how scientists think and work, you can make informed decisions about the environmental issues. You can become a scientist too and help solve the world's biggest problem. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed learning about how scientists work and amazing story of the greenhouse effect. If you love this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my science diary, and let me know in the comment which scientist you found the most interesting. See you in the next video.